Dale here. I'm going to talk to you today about our sari chiffon ribbon. It's absolutely fabulous for all sorts of things. This is sort of this is a chiffon, so it's crinkly and therefore able to be manipulated or woven like I do, etc, etc. Some of them come with embroidered bits and pieces on them, and as you can see if you look in my basket I have got loads, and the most boring part is having to iron them. So they come and I wind them onto balls and then I take off what I want. Now these are sewn together, so I just cut them and add them in wherever I would like to use them, so it's heaps and heaps there. Now, this is the sort of thing I use them for backgrounds, so I've layered them on to felt background for stitching, and this was trying to portray Lake Louise in Canada. So once you start to stitch into them, it changes the whole background of it so that it blends it in and makes it a piece so it doesn't just look like fabric stuck there. And I invariably use, as you can see, variegated threads because I like the way that they move. So that's one little piece. This is another one where I've woven the chiffon, and it's a hand-dyed one actually that we have done, and so I've used, you can see that the different shades, but all the stitch, lots of stitching of course, other sorts of stitches, and I've added, to put it the right way up so you can actually see it, and I've added other things like some into it as well, and I've made a little cord with matching threads and hand stitched it down, and little flower stitcher flowers, just something for a bit of interest. Now this is what I do. I might take my piece of background, as I said last time, I will use a pre-felt because it's so nice and soft to stitch into rather than wool felt. It does seem indulgent, but here I've cut them, laid them down, and if I wanted to I could weave it by, this is all I do. I don't bond it or anything like that, so you might just put the next layer down, and pin it, put pins to anchor it down so that it's all ready to be stitched on. This one I could leave just as it is because it actually looks quite interesting. So I'll just turn that one around so you can see it. Here I've used other ones where I've woven the chiffon, stitched it down. This could be used for something else. I haven't done anything else with it. It's all ready as a little palette to be worked on. Now these ones here, I've used the sari chiffon and put it down. You can see this one's onto a piece of black felt. This one is onto a pre-felt that's been hand dyed. So as I said, indulgence. Now it's all ready. It's all had loads and loads of stitching. Sometimes I've pieced it. You don't have to weave it. You can do whatever you like with it. You can of course knit it, and you can use it in any way that you like. So here I've used them as a background to another piece, and I've put another piece where I've woven the pre-felts and things on, like I was saying in my last video, and then I have again used this idea of the chiffon, and I've stitched a motif onto it. So you could stamp on it or stitch it or use it in any way. It's just an interesting background to have. This one here, some of the sari that comes, and I don't always know what they're going to be like until I open them up. So this one has lots of lovely embroidery in which you can use, and I've put it onto a background. I've foiled it underneath to get a little bit of colour coming through, and I put a couple of leaves that I've stitched on the top, so this makes an interesting background. Here I have used chiffon. It's one that in these pale sort of colours to put onto a background, and again you can see it's got a pre-felt on the back of it. This one is another piece that has been hand dyed. We have hand dyed chiffon as well, and sari chiffon. This one's been hand dyed in Kimberly Dreaming. Look at all those beautiful colours. So when you cut out what you want, you can do from the whole ball, make it serendipitous, or you can be quite specific about what you're coming up with. And here I've used it as a background for one of my Kimberly sort of things. But the basic thing is that I do lots of stitching It's very friendly stitching because it's soft. And then I have also here with this one here, and this is another one that I've done again with the same thing, and use it as a background for stitching, and it's on a piece of pre-felt. Lots of stitching. You see you've got a base stitch to hold it all down with very fine running thread, and then other stitches that have been added. And again, I've done another one in the same sort of theme, this one here, and I cut it up in this case for a background for another piece, one of my little flowers in vase. So you can see that, and I've put another insert into there, so it just makes an interesting textural background. Okay, so then I have also used these saris as for Nuno felting this chiffon. Look, here I've even left the stitched, instead of cutting it off, I've left that little bit there. So on the back I've got, you know, use it into Nuno felting, so your bits have just shriveled up. It shrivels up nicely when you use it that way. There's another one that I've Nuno felted with the chiffon. It's got some embroidery in, and I've stamped on it and stitched. This one here I have again laid up Nuno felted, lots of stitch, slightly crinkly, and stamped a leaf onto it and then stitched it down. This is another little one here. Just playing with ideas of getting Nuno sort of type felting. I'm not a serious felter, but I like to just play with these things. Very minimal amount of work. So there is, and so that's all I've got for today. Then you keep all these little pieces here, and you can use them in other little bits and pieces. So it's like keeping little raggy bits that you can cut up for applique, etc., and all those things as before. So I hope you found that useful. See you next time.